Have you ever wondered why some couples in their 70s and 80s seem to glow with a vitality that defies their age, while others appear to have simply given up on the deeper connections that once defined their love? Picture this. Millions of men over 60 sit quietly in their living rooms each evening, watching their life partner move through familiar routines, feeling an ache they cannot name. They remember passion, they remember closeness, but somewhere along the way, they convince themselves that chapter of life had permanently closed. Here's the truth that nobody talks about at family gatherings or doctor's visits. Society whispers that aging means surrendering intimacy, that physical limitations should define the boundaries of love. We're told that wanting to please our partner, to rekindle that spark, to express love through tender physical connection is somehow inappropriate past a certain age. This silent surrender is stealing years from our lives and joy from our hearts, and the medical research proving this will shock you. Today, I'm going to share the scientific discoveries that reveal how one simple shift in how we approach intimacy after 60 can literally add years to your life, reduce your risk of heart disease, and flood your brain with the same chemicals that once made you feel invincible. What you're about to learn will change everything you thought you knew about love, health, and vitality in your golden years. Number 1. The importance of empathy and intimacy. After decades of marriage, Robert watched his wife Susan reading quietly in her favorite chair, and for the first time in years, he truly saw her. Not as the woman who managed household schedules or worried about their grown children's problems, but as the person who had once looked at him with eyes full of wonder and desire. When did they stop really seeing each other? When did their conversations shrink to discussions about medications and doctor appointments? This moment of recognition hits millions of men over 60 like a gentle earthquake. They realize that somewhere along the journey, their relationships transformed from passionate partnerships into practical arrangements. The woman who once made their heart race now feels like a roommate they happen to love. But here's what most men don't understand. This distance isn't permanent, and the solution isn't complicated. True intimacy after 60 doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins the moment you start paying attention again. It starts when you notice that she still touches her hair when she's nervous, or that her face lights up when she talks about the grandchildren. It starts when you remember that her happiness isn't just nice to have, it's essential to who you are as a man and as her partner. The transformation happens when empathy replaces routine. When you begin to read the subtle signals she sends, the quiet sighs that speak of unmet longings, the way she lingers in a hug just a moment longer than usual. This isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about remembering that the woman beside you still has dreams, still has desires, still has a heart that can be touched deeply. Research shows that couples who rediscover emotional intimacy in their later years don't just improve their relationship, they literally add years to their lives. When you shift from being her husband to being her devoted partner again, something magical happens. The walls that built up over years of responsibility and routine begin to crumble. Communication devient réel à nouveau. Touch becomes meaningful again. And suddenly you both remember why you chose each other all those years ago. Number 2. Benefits of intimate initiatives for senior men. Picture this. 72-year-old William had spent 3 years feeling invisible in his own home. His adult children treated him like a fragile ornament. His doctor focused only on his limitations, and worst of all, he had started to see himself through their eyes. Then something shifted. He decided to surprise his wife Margaret with a simple act of focused attention and tenderness. The look of surprise and delight on her face that evening reminded him of something he had forgotten. He still had the power to bring joy to someone he loved. This is the secret that pharmaceutical companies and nursing homes don't want you to know. Your value as a man doesn't diminish with age, it simply needs to be redirected. When you take initiative in your relationship, when you focus on bringing pleasure and happiness to your partner, something remarkable happens in your own mind and body. The act of giving becomes a gift you give yourself. The confidence that comes from knowing you can still make your partner smile, still surprise her, still be the man she turns to for comfort and connection. This confidence rebuilds everything age tries to tear down. You start walking taller. You start speaking with more authority. You begin to see possibilities instead of limitations. Your brain chemistry changes when you take loving initiative. The same neural pathways that once fired when you achieved success in your career now light up when you succeed in touching your partner's heart. The planning, the attention to detail, the satisfaction of a mission accomplished. All of these elements that made you feel alive and capable throughout your working years can be channeled into being an extraordinary partner. And here's the beautiful irony: the more you focus on her pleasure and happiness, the more alive and purposeful you feel. It's not about performance or proving anything to anyone. It's about remembering that love is a verb, and at 60, 70, or 80, you still have the capacity to love actively and meaningfully. Number 3. Impact sur la santé physique et mentale. Chaque fois que James, âgé de 68 ans, a mis toute son attention sur le fait de procurer du plaisir à sa femme, quelque chose extraordinary happened in his body that he couldn't see but could definitely feel. His chronic tension headaches that had plagued him for years began to fade. His sommeil s'est amélioré. Sa pression artérielle, qui était une constante préoccupation, a commencé à se stabiliser. His doctor was puzzled, but James knew exactly what had changed. When you engage in acts of intimate generosity, your body responds as if you've taken the most powerful medicine on earth. The moment you shift from thinking about your own concerns to focusing completely on your partner's joy, your brain begins releasing a cocktail of healing chemicals. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, floods your system, lowering stress levels instantly. Sérotonine, votre stabilisateur naturel de l'humeur, commence à circuler, repoussant l'épouvante qui hante souvent les hommes âgés. Dopamine, the reward chemical, reminds your brain that life still holds incredible pleasures. But les bénéfices physiques y vont même plus loin. The stress that has been silently damaging your cardiovascular system for years begins to melt away. Your blood vessels relax and expand, allowing better circulation. Your heart, which has been working overtime against high blood pressure, finally gets a break. Studies show this can reduce your risk of heart attack by up to 30%. The sleep changes are perhaps the most immediately noticeable. Instead of lying awake at night worrying about health concerns, financial security, or family problems, your mind finds peace. The natural endorphins released during intimate connection act like a gentle sedative, allowing you to fall into deep, restorative sleep. You wake up refreshed, clear-headed, and optimistic about the day ahead. Most importantly, the fog of mental decline that frightens so many men over soixante commence à se dissiper. When your brain is regularly flooded with these positive chemicals, neural pathways strengthen. Memory improves, focus sharpens. The risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease decreases significantly. You're not just loving your partner, you're literally preserving your mind and extending your healthy years. Number 4. Impact on emotional relationships. Ashok, 74, n'avait pas réalisé jusqu'à quel point la distance avait grandi entre lui et sa femme. Priya night, he decided to put down his newspaper and really look at her. For months, they had been living like polite strangers, sharing space but not sharing souls. That evening, when he approached her with genuine curiosity about her feelings and desires, something shifted between them that felt like coming home after a long, lonely journey. The transformation in your relationship when you become emotionally generous is nothing short of miraculous. Conversations that had become mechanical exchanges of information suddenly become real again. She starts telling you about her dreams, her fears, her hopes for the grandchildren. You find yourself sharing thoughts and feelings you had buried under years of being strong and not complaining. Touch becomes meaningful again. Not just the quick peck on the cheek or the absent-minded pat on the shoulder, but real touch that communicates love, appreciation, and desire. When you reach for her hand while watching television, she doesn't pull away. When you hug her in the kitchen, she leans into you instead of stiffening with surprise. The walls that seemed so permanent begin to crumble. The resentments that had built up over years of taking each other for granted start to dissolve. You remember why you chose each other. She remembers the man who used to make her feel like the most important person in the world. You both realize that person is still there, just waiting to be invited back into the relationship. Communication becomes honest again. Instead of the careful politeness that keeps peace but prevents intimacy, you start having real conversations. You tell her about the fears that wake you up at night. She shares the loneliness she's been carrying. Together, you discover that the problems that seemed so isolating are actually bridges that can bring you closer together. But perhaps most beautiful of all, you both remember that love isn't something that happened in the past. It's something you can create fresh every single day. And at 70 or 80, you have the wisdom and patience to love better than you ever did in your youth. Number 5. Social and family impact. When 69-year-old Vinod rekindled the romance in his marriage, he had no idea that the change would ripple out far beyond his bedroom. His adult children noticed that their parents seemed happier, more playful with each other. His grandchildren began asking if they could stay over more often because Grandma and Grandpa's house feels fun again. What Vinod discovered is that when a marriage thrives, it becomes the foundation for everything else in the family to flourish. The energy that comes from a fulfilled, loving relationship doesn't stay contained within your marriage. It radiates outward, touching every interaction you have. You become more patient with difficult family members. You have more enthusiasm for social gatherings. You find yourself laughing more easily, telling stories with animation, engaging with the world instead of withdrawing from it. Your children, who may have been worried about you becoming isolated or depressed, suddenly see their father as vibrant and engaged again. They stop treating you like you're fragile and start including you in family decisions. They seek your advice because they can see that you still have wisdom to offer, still have life experience that's valuable and relevant. With grandchildren, the transformation is even more dramatic. Children can sense authentic happiness in adults. When you're fulfilled in your primary relationship, you have more emotional energy to give to these precious young people. You become the grandfather who gets down on the floor to play, who tells engaging stories, who makes ordinary moments feel special and memorable. Even your friendships change. Instead of conversations that revolve around complaints about health problems or grumbling about how the world is changing, you find yourself contributing positivity to social gatherings. You become the couple that other couples want to spend time with because you remind them that marriage can still be a source of joy and connection. The most beautiful part is that this positive energy is contagious. When your marriage becomes a source of strength and happiness, you give everyone around you permission to believe that their own relationships can be revitalized. You become living proof that love doesn't have to diminish with age. It can actually deepen and become more meaningful than ever. Number 6. Practical tips and precautions. Harold, 71, made a crucial mistake when he first decided to rekindle intimacy with his wife Eleanor. He approached her with enthusiasm but without conversation, assuming that his good intentions were obvious. Eleanor s'est sentie confuse et légèrement dépassée par le changement soudain. It wasn't until Harold sat down with her the next day and honestly explained his feelings and desires that everything clicked into place. This conversation, awkward as it felt initially, became the foundation for the most beautiful period of their 46-year marriage. The first and most important step in revitalizing your intimate connection is communication. This isn't about having the talk like teenagers. This is about having an adult conversation with someone you've shared decades of life with. Start simply. Tell her you've been thinking about how much she means to you and that you want to explore ways to make her feel more loved and appreciated. Ask her what would make her feel most cherished and desired. Listen to her answers without defensiveness or hurt feelings. Physical preparation matters more at our age than it did in our youth. This isn't about vanity, it's about respect and comfort for both of you. Good hygiene is essential. Fresh breath, clean body, trimmed nails. These details show that you value her comfort and your shared experience. Si vous avez des préoccupations concernant les limitations physiques, discutez-en ouvertement. Many challenges that seem insurmountable have simple solutions when approached with creativity and patience. Timing and environment become crucial factors. The spontaneous passion of youth gives way to the thoughtful consideration of maturity. Choose times quand vous êtes tous les deux détendus et sans empressement. Create an atmosphere that feels safe and comfortable. This might mean adjusting lighting, temperature, or position to accommodate physical changes that come with age. Remember, confort et relaxation sont les fondations de la jouissance à tout âge. Health considerations cannot be ignored. Si vous avez le diabète, des problèmes cardiaques, des problèmes de tension artérielle, ou si vous prenez des médicaments qui affectent la circulation ou la sensation, consultez votre médecin. This isn't embarrassing, it's responsible. Your physician can provide guidance on how to pursue intimacy safely while managing your health conditions. Most importantly, approach this journey with patience and humor. There may be false starts, awkward moments, or times when things don't go as planned. That's not failure, that's real life. The goal isn't perfect performance, it's genuine connection and shared pleasure between two people who have earned the right to love each other completely. Number 7. Medical facts and research findings. Dr. Margaret Chen's groundbreaking study at Harvard University followed over 2,000 men between les 45 ans et 85 ans pendant plus d'une décennie. What she discovered challenged everything the medical community thought they knew about aging and health. The men who remained actively engaged in bringing pleasure to their partners lived an average of 7 years longer than those who had resigned themselves to a sexless existence. But the benefits went far beyond longevity. The physiological changes that occur when older men focus on intimate generosity are profound and measurable. Brain scans show increased activity in regions associated with reward processing, emotional regulation, and memory formation. Blood work reveals lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that accelerates aging and increases disease risk. Cardiovascular health improves measurably, with participants showing lower blood pressure, improved circulation, and reduced inflammation markers. Perhaps most significantly, the study revealed dramatic differences in cognitive function. Men who maintained intimate relationships showed 50% less cognitive decline over the study period compared to their peers. The theory is that the complex emotional and physical coordination required for intimate connection creates new neural pathways and strengthens existing ones, essentially providing a workout for the aging brain. The British Heart Foundation's research adds another crucial piece to this puzzle. Their Dixon étude de couple de plus de 60 ans a trouvé que les hommes qui prenaient une initiative active dans leur relation avaient 30% moins d'événements cardiaques than those in relationships characterized by emotional distance. The researchers concluded that the stress-reducing effects of loving connection literally protect the heart from disease. Depression and anxiety, two of the most common mental health challenges facing older men, showed remarkable improvement in these studies. The sense of purpose, the physical closeness, and the emotional satisfaction that comes from successfully bringing joy to a beloved partner triggers the release of natural antidepressants in the brain. Participants reported feeling more optimistic, more energetic, and more engaged with life in general. These aren't just statistics on a medical chart. These are real years added to your life, real improvement in your daily experience, real protection against the diseases and mental decline that frightens so many of us as we age. The prescription for healthy aging isn't found in a pharmacy, it's found in the loving connection between two people who refuse to give up on each other. Number 8. Summary and inspiration. As we reach the end of this journey together, think about Thomas, 82, who recently told his grandson, Je ne savais pas que les meilleures années de mon mariage viendraient après que j'ai tourné 75. Thomas a découvert ce que des millions d'hommes commencent à comprendre. L'âge ne diminue pas votre capacité d'aimer profondément, au contraire, il l'améliore. With decades of shared experience, with the wisdom that comes from weathering life's storms together, with the freedom that comes from no longer caring what others think, you have the opportunity to love more authentically and completely than ever before. Every scientific study, every medical breakthrough, every personal story we've explored points to the same beautiful truth. When you choose to actively love your partner, to focus on her happiness and pleasure, to approach your relationship with the same dedication you once brought to your career, everything changes. Your health improves. Your mind stays sharp. Your relationships deepen. Your very existence becomes more meaningful and joyful. This isn't about returning to who you were in your 20s or 30s. This is about becoming who you were always meant to be. A man who loves without reservation, who gives without keeping score, who finds his greatest satisfaction in the happiness of the woman who has chosen to share her life with you. À 60, 70, 80 ou au-delà, vous avez le pouvoir de créer le chapitre le plus beau de votre histoire d'amour. The choice is yours. You can accept society's message that passion and intimacy end with youth, or you can embrace the truth that love deepens with age. You can resign yourself to a relationship based on routine and habit, or you can choose to pursue a connection that feeds your soul and extends your years. You can let fear and insecurity guide your decisions, or you can step boldly into the adventure of loving completely at every stage of your life. Your partner is waiting. Your happiness is waiting. Your best years are waiting. And they all begin with a simple decision to love actively, generously, and without apology. The time is now. Your life is now. Your love is now. Don't wait another day to begin living the extraordinary love story that's waiting to be written. My friend, we've traveled quite a journey together today. We've talked about something that matters deeply but is rarely discussed openly. The truth that your capacity to love, to connect, to bring joy to your partner doesn't diminish with age. It deepens, it becomes richer, it becomes more meaningful than you ever imagined possible. You now know that choosing to love actively after 60 isn't just about romance, it's about your health, your heart, votre esprit, your very survival. Every time you focus on bringing happiness to the woman beside you, you're literally adding years to your life and life to your years. The men we met today, Ashok, Vinod, Thomas, they didn't discover some secret formula. They simply decided to stop accepting society's lie that passion ends with youth. They chose dignity over resignation. They chose connection over isolation. They chose to be the men their partners fell in love with, enhanced by decades of wisdom and tenderness. You have everything you need to begin this transformation today. The science supports you. The research validates you. Most importantly, your heart knows this is true. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, you still have the power to make your partner's eyes light up. You still have the ability to be her hero. Which of these truths did you most need to hear today? Was it that your health depends on your relationships? That intimacy actually improves with age? Or simply that you're still the man she chose all those years ago? Si ce message a touché votre cœur, veuillez le partager avec quelqu'un qui a besoin d'entendre ça. Leave a comment about your own journey. Your story might be exactly what another man needs to take that first brave step. Remember, votre meilleur chapitre n'est pas derrière vous. It's waiting to be written, and it begins aujourd'hui.